Learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Welcome to HS Guide, your companion for mastering anatomy, physio, biopathology, and microbiology, which is related to the Rajiv Gandhi Health University. Here we make the complex concepts simple, clear, and exam ready. Now, helping you in order to understand smarter, score better, and build a strong healthcare foundation as well. So in today's lecture, we'll be continuing from the previous topic, which is on collection of blood. We have already learned the routine venipuncture steps that has to be done. We have already learned about the materials that is required for venipuncture, and we have also seen the safety measures that should be taken by a healthcare professional, as well as the patient safety and the biohazard waste management as well. In this video, we will be studying about the essential skill that is required for a collection of blood. Now, the focus in this video will be on the procedure of blood collection and the steps to ensure safe and accurate sampling. The next part will be an introduction to how the blood culture bottles are, which all blood culture bottles are labeled, which all tests are conducted using the culture bottles. So the color coding of each blood culture bottle will also be learned. So in next video, we'll be understanding and going deeper into the venipuncture using a syringe or phlebotomy in infants, that is newborn babies and the children or the pediatric patients. We'll also learn about the troubleshooting hints that can be used whenever blood sampling is difficult for you. So what are the different methods or hacks that you can use while blood collection is difficult, or any problem that is faced during blood collection. So that is troubleshooting. So in this video and in the end of this session, you will be able to understand the procedures that is required for hematology or blood sampling for accurate testing and reliable diagnostic results. So the first step of the procedure is patient identification. So it is essential to identify the patient, because you cannot misplace the test that is being conducted to the patient and the person who is sitting for blood sampling. So it is essential for active identification. You have to ask the patient's full name and the date of birth of the patient. You have to match whatever the patient is telling and the requisition form, whatever is specified in the information specified in the requisition form as well. You have to also ask the patient whether he knows what test is being conducted. If he knows what test is being conducted, you can ask the patient about what test that is being conducted as well. So that is how patient identification plays an important role, because there is chances of misplaced test or misplaced blood culture bottles because of improper identification. This is the first step of the procedure, and it is an essential step. Now, patient communication is also the second step of the procedure, wherein you reassure the patient about the test that is being conducted, why the test is conducted, and the minimum amount of the blood that is required for the test. So how much amount of blood is drawn should be specified and told to the patient. And you should also verify whether the patient is fasting or has he taken any medication before the blood drawing is done. This is essential because some tests require fasting. Like in case of blood glucose testing, you'll need a blood before the patient is having any food. So fasting is essential for finding out the blood glucose level before the food and after food as well. So diet restriction is essential for certain tests that should be verified along with the patient. Now, timing is also important. Certain blood tests are conducted based upon the medication. So depending upon the drug that is being acting on the blood vessels or blood also, it can determine the test that is being conducted in the laboratories. So it is essential to verify whether the patient is taking any medication how much time has happened since he has taken the medication. So it is essential to verify all these things before blood collection. Now, how are you supposed to draw the blood? So there is an order for drawing the blood as well. So whenever you are trying to draw the blood, you are supposed to prevent the cross contamination of additives between tubes. So the culture bottles or blood culture bottles which I showed you in the previous video, these culture bottles will have an order, the way that you have to follow the same order while blood collection is happening. So while filling the blood culture bottles, you are supposed to fill according to the CLSI guidelines, because it gives you proper accurate test results. You cannot go with different order of blood culture bottles. So here is the approved CLSI order of drawing the blood. So the blood culture bottles are sterile. So they are because they are free of any microorganisms. So the inner surface, whatever the inside of the tube, it is sterile, and you're not supposed to put your fingers or any other instrument inside and check. So it is a sterile container, and it is there is no microorganisms present in it. Now the first blood culture bottle based upon the color is light blue top. It has a sodium citrate anticoagulant, which is useful for coagulation tests. Coagulation tests are performed to detect whether the patient blood is undergoing coagulation or clot formation. So in order to determine the coagulation test, the blood sample should not be clotted. To check the coagulation factors inside it, how active they are, this coagulation test is conducted. So light blue top is the first culture bottle that has to be filled. Next, the second culture bottle that should be filled is serum tubes. So these are for finding out the chemistry or the serology, the serum that contains the antibodies inside it or antigens that is present is checked in the serum tubes. So these are the second culture bottles that should be filled, which are red top, gold, or SST. Now here there are certain color tubes that I've shown. You can refer to it whenever I'm trying to explain what are the different culture bottles, the order that you have to follow. Now green top is a heparin containing culture bottle. Heparin is again a anticoagulant. This heparin is used for plasma tests to find out the thromboplastin or thrombin that is inside the blood sample. Then lavender or purple top is containing EDTA, which is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. It is also an anticoagulant. This purple top culture bottle is used for hematology test, that is to check the red blood cells under microscope. So you are going to find out how the cells in the pathology of the cells in the blood sample. Now gray top is the final culture bottle that you're supposed to fill. Here the gray top contains fluoride or oxalate. It is again a type of ingredient that is added inside the culture bottle. Then this gray top is usually used for the glucose testing. So it is this is used to test the presence of glucose or sometimes alcohol or lactic acid inside the blood. The tube, we have a table of how CLSI works. Light blue top culture bottles contain 3.2% of sodium citrate, which prevents the blood from clotting by binding to the calcium ions. Here it is used, the light blue top culture bottles are used for coagulation tests. Red or gold is a serum tube which might have clot activators or gel inside them. These are used for promoting the blood clotting with glass or silica particles. The gel separates the serum from the cell. So in order to obtain the serology test, red or gold top culture bottles are used. These are commonly used for chemistry of the blood, studying the serology of the blood or the immunology of the blood. So you're going to test the antibodies, antigens present inside the serum through these culture bottles. Now green is a culture bottle which contains lithium heparin with or without gel inside them. These green top bottles prevent clotting by inhibiting thrombin and thromboplastin. So the thrombin and thromboplastin are involved in the blood clot formation. This is prevented in order to stop the blood from lump formation or clot formation. The common laboratory tests that are conducted are stat and routine chemistry that can be done using the green top bottles. Now the lavender or pink colored culture bottles have potassium or EDTA as an additive, which prevents the clot formation of the blood by binding to the calcium ions. This purple colored or lavender colored or pink colored culture bottles are used in hematology and the blood bank for blood sampling and rapid blood testing, or to check to see the blood cells in the microscope. The grey top bottles consist of sodium fluoride and sodium or potassium oxalate. These fluorides inhibit glycolysis, that is, they do not allow the glucose pathway, that is, breakdown of the glucose or the glycogen inside the blood. Then oxalate prevents the clot formation by precipitating the calcium ions. Here, these grey top bottles are used to determine the glucose or the blood alcohol or lactic acid that is present inside the blood. So these are the role of each and every blood culture bottle, and it is essential to follow the order. Whenever you're trying to collect the blood or doing the venipuncture, it is essential to keep them in order. First light blue, later red or golden top, then green, followed by the purple or lavender or pink colored culture bottles, and lastly the grey bottles. So you have to keep this blood collection order as per CLSI order. Keeping the blood culture bottles in order is going to ensure a perfect, accurate result for diagnostic or clinical assessment of the blood. Now the blood culture bottles, the same thing, that whatever I have told, I have put it in the text form here. You can read it again. Pause the video, read whatever the text is being put here, and you can understand it. Now the important note that you have to keep is the butterfly winged blood collection set can be used for blood collection. When you are using this butterfly winged blood collection set, the coagulation tube is first tube that you are supposed to fill, which is light blue, and draw the discarded tube first. That is, whenever the blood collection set is given, it is wounded like a wire. It is put into a wound. The wire the tube should be nicely straightened up in order to avoid any clots or air bubbles inside it. So the first thing that you do is, whenever you open the winged set, you are supposed to straighten the tube by removing the loops that is formed. So once the loop is removed, you're supposed to start with a plain red top or light blue top culture bottles for drawing the blood. Do not need to fill the discarded tube completely. So you don't have to wait till the blood is being filled in the tube. You can start the blood flow directly into these culture bottles. Now, the purpose of straightening the blood collection set or for filling the culture bottles is to prevent any air inside the tubing. Now, step-by-step procedure that is followed when a blood collection venipuncture is performed. The first thing is prepare. Assemble all the necessary equipment when the patient is ready for the venipuncture. You have to know what test is being conducted and the patient's condition. Keep all the things, necessary equipments next to you on the table, and then wash your hands and wear gloves. That is the preparation part. Now, patient position and safety. See to it that patient is comfortably sitting on a chair and his arm is extended in a straight line from shoulder to wrist. It should not be like a drill. It should be resting on the table or a arm rest, so that his shoulder and wrist are at a straight line. So that is how patient positioning and safety is essential. Now do not. So this is important to keep in mind. Never do 2 times of venipuncture. Do not go and prick the patient 2-3 times, because it can cause pain to the patient and the patient might get scared. So never try attempting more than 2 times. Try 2 times and ask the supervisor or a higher authority who is there in there. Notify the supervisor if you're not able to do a venipuncture more than 2 times. No more than 2 times. Now, performing arterial puncture is not at all allowed for a phlebotomist. The lab technicians or phlebotomists are not at all allowed to perform arterial puncture. Arterial puncture is done only by the doctors or the practitioner who is specialized training in arterial puncture alone. Drawing from feet without the consent of the patient is not acceptable. Never do it without the patient's permission. Now, which all sites should you avoid? You should avoid the regions where the patient has got scars or burns. You should avoid when the patient has undergone mastectomy. Mastectomy is a surgical procedure where the breast cancer region, the breast is removed. So mastectomy, wherever which side the patient has undergone the surgery of mastectomy, that side should be avoided. Blood drawing shouldn't be performed on the region on the side where mastectomy is performed. Then the areas with hematoma, wherever the patient has an internal blood clot formation which looks like purple or pink color, those hematoma areas should be avoided. Then above an IV site, if an intravenous site is being done, there is already a cannula present on the patient, or if there is an fistula or a vascular graft present on the arm where the venipuncture should be performed, should be avoided. It should not be done in these areas. So these are the sites that you have to avoid. Now, once you are starting the blood drawing procedure, wait for 10 to 15 minutes after the transfusion. That is, whenever a patient has undergone blood transfusion, like the patient has low blood count or for any reason, if the patient has undergone blood transfusion, never draw the blood immediately. You have to wait for 10 to 15 minutes and then draw the blood. Now, vein selection. Once you have determined the patient positioning and the preparation, you should also not follow you should also keep in mind all the instructions that is given, like to avoid the site and to avoid whenever the patient has undergone transfusion, and after 10 to 15 minutes you're supposed to perform venipuncture. Now, moving to the vein selection, preferred veins that are usually done in blood collection or venipuncture is the median cubital, cephalic or basilic veins. So these are the 3 veins that are mostly preferred and mostly the blood collection is performed. So veins from more prominent are made more prominent by asking the patient to form a clenched fist. The patient is asked to clench his fist and then a prominent vein is selected. That is how a vein should be selected. Tourniquet can be applied if in case you are not able to find the vein. Tourniquet application should be done 3 to 4 inches above the region where you are going to perform the venipuncture. So 3 to 4 inches above where the puncture site is there. Then do not lift the tourniquet more than 1 minute, because the tourniquet is going to control or put the pressure on the veins. When the pressure on the veins is left for more than 1 minute, there are chances of deoxygenated blood accumulated on the arm. So it is essential to keep in mind that you shouldn't allow the tourniquet to be more than 1 minute. If you have applied for vein selection, release it, reapply after 2 minutes. So there is recirculation of oxygenated blood in the arm. Now, site cleaning should be performed. Once you do the vein selection, palpitate the vein and check whether the vein is prominent. If you want, you can put the tourniquet also to get the veins prominent. Once all these things are done, site cleaning should be performed. Site cleaning involves the area where you are performing venipuncture. It should be sterile or disinfectant. How is it done? Using a 70% alcohol pad, you are going to do a circular motion. You go outward spiral from the puncture site. Allow to dry. Do not touch the site with your hand or with the gloved hand after doing the site cleaning. So 70% alcohol pad is used to sterilize the area or to disinfect the area where you are performing the puncture. Venipuncture. Now, once the site is being cleaned, needle preparation should be performed. How are you going to do? Attach the needle to the hub, remove the cap and hold in bevel up. So you see a bevel at the tip of the needle. So you can, when the bore is facing towards you, it is bevel up. The whole kind of a thing in the needle that should be facing towards you. That is how preparation should be, needle preparation should be done. Now, venipuncture, this is where the actual blood drawing sampling happens. You are going to pull the skin tight below the puncture site, not on the puncture site, below the puncture site with your thumb or your try using your thumb or index finger. So skin tight, you're going to pull the skin tight, insert the needle with your right hand or your dominant hand in the line with the vein. It should be a quick and smooth motion. No probing should be done. No pricking again and again or trying to get into the vein and pricking more times than required. So it should be swift and a quick motion, swift and a smooth motion. So it should be fast. And while inserting the needle, you have to check, you have to insert the Vacutainer tube as well, so that you can draw the blood once the needle is in spot. Blood should flow into the tube. That is the that shows that the venipuncture is performed perfectly. So here you can see the butterfly winged needle, a tubing followed by a hub and a culture bottle wherein the blood is getting collected. You can see a tourniquet as well. So this is how a venipuncture looks like. You also observe that safety precaution as well. The healthcare professional is wearing a glove. So it is important to do the procedure in a sterile manner. Now, during the collection, after the blood flows, you should first release the tourniquet. Once the blood is collected, the blood flow is seen, the tourniquet should be released. Once you release the tourniquet, ask the patient to remove the fist. Whatever fist he has formed, he should open his hand, and you are supposed to remove the tubes whenever is filled. So if you have 3 to 4 culture bottles to be filled, once the mark is reached, the mark on the culture bottle is reached, you are supposed to remove the culture bottle and start collecting the next one. Always hold the hub securely. Pull the tube off. Don't pull the hub. There is a hub and there is below a culture bottle. There is space between the culture bottle and the hub. Never pull the hub because it can pull the needle as holder. So pulling the hub is essential. Holding the hub and pulling the tube is essential. Now invert the tube gently. Once the culture bottle is filled, try up and down movement of the culture bottles. No shaking, only up and down movement. For different culture bottles, there is different times you have to do the up and down motion. Like for light blue, 3 to 4 times you're supposed to do. Red or gold, 5 times. And other additive tubes or culture bottles can be done for 8 to 10 times. No rigorous shaking, no shaking should be performed, because the red blood cells can be destroyed when you shake it vigorously. Now the completion procedure. Once the blood culture bottles are filled, place a gauze over the region where the vein needle is. Remove the needle once the gauze is in the site. Activate the safety device. safety device is to keep the blood flow in check. So you are supposed to place the gauze, remove the needle and put it into the disposable container, puncture proof disposable container. Then dispose disposable container along with the holder into the sharp container or the disposable container, puncture proof container. Then apply a little pressure for 2 minutes and then apply the bandage. Once the patient the puncture site is secured and safe, the labeling should be performed. Label both the tubes immediately once the blood is drawn to avoid any mistakes in or get confused with whose blood it is. The last step of the blood drawing procedure is special handling. Certain culture bottles or blood sampling requires extra care to the blood sample, like the cooling, the light protection, or the immediate delivery of the blood sample that is being retrieved from the patient. So you should check whether the test directed by the requisition form or specific requirement that is specified in the requisition form, and the blood sample should be sent for a testing. Now here completes the procedures of venipuncture. In next video we'll be covering about the various venipuncture in the using a syringe, the infant or the child phlebotomy, and the troubleshooting hints that can be performed on a patient if you are not able to get a proper vein or if a vein is difficult to find out. So the troubleshooting is like a hack for you whenever performing a difficult venipuncture. So if you like the video, please give a thumbs up. Share the video among your friends so they get to know that there is a Allied Health Science channel based upon the Rajiv Gandhi University's guidelines. If you didn't understand any part of the video, pause it and watch it again. So the theoretical part of how the blood collection is performed is essential to understand and to follow in a practical lab. So doing a blood sampling without the supervision of a higher healthcare professional is not at all acceptable. As a student, observation and learning is important. So observe the procedure first, then try ask the supervisor to supervision what you're performing. Without knowing the proper order of culture bottles or the procedure or the safety method that is being used for performing a venipuncture, you cannot do the procedure. Learn the procedure, then practice the procedure. Hope you understood the video. I'll be posting the notes or PPT in the description. You can go there and check. I will also put a link of the previous video of hematology wherein how the collection of blood is done. You can go to my AHS guide channel and find out the pathology chapter on hematology. See the whole playlist and understand how blood sampling is done or blood is.